Alright, what up guys? Caius Cosades here, and today we're going to be looking at the best houses in Morrowind, or at least what I consider to be some of the best houses in Morrowind. Now, for those of you who have maybe played Oblivion or Skyrim, but haven't really played too much Morrowind, what you need to know is that there aren't really any houses that you can just buy in Morrowind. There are a few options for houses in the game, which we will get to, of course, but for the most part, if you want a house in Morrowind, you kind of just have to take your own house. Now, first things first, you're probably going to want to choose a town. I tend to choose Balmora just because Balmora is a pretty good town. It's one of the main towns and it's a pretty important one. There's a lot going on here and it's kind of like a central hub city, honestly, in my opinion. So it's just a really good place to set up shop, in my opinion. So a lot of the places that I choose are going to be either in or around Balmora. Now, first things first, as Caius Cosades, one must assume Caius Cosades makes a good house. And if you aren't familiar with the main quest more, how you doing, dude? Man, we look pretty similar, don't we? But anyways, Caius Cosades' house makes a pretty decent house. First of all, if you've done the main quest, you may already be familiar with the fact that you are able to just kind of use his facilities. You can use his bed. You can kind of use his tables and stuff to store stuff. He does get mad if you steal stuff. But once you get about halfway through the main quest line, Caius Cosades actually leaves to go back to Cyrodiil. And once that happens, he quite literally gives his house to you. So once he leaves, you have free range of literally everything in here. And it's a pretty small and modest house. It is quite literally nothing to write home about. But as far as houses go in Morrowind, this is probably like the most official house you can get. It's quite literally a house that they give to you like during the main quest. So as far as houses go, like this is like the house basically. Like this is the house that they give you in the game, right? Pretty modest, not a whole lot going on. There is some storage. There are some like surfaces like tables. Not really a whole lot as far as shelving goes. But you know, there's a bed, there's tables, it's a room, it's a house, right? But the second option in Balmora is gonna be like kind of a multi-option. Now there's of course many different houses you can take in Balmora, but not all people in the game are created equally. Some people are, you know, part of factions, some people are Blades members, some people are Fighters Guild members, some people have quests, some people have training, some people have trading, that sort of thing, right? So ideally, if you are gonna try to steal somebody's house, which typically involves killing them for it, you're going to want to find somebody who is not all that important, which I have already done for you guys. This guy, Astius Hanotepolis, is about as useless of an NPC as you can get. He doesn't have any quests, doesn't have any factions or anything like that. He's completely unimportant in about every single way, shape, or form, which is specifically why I tracked this guy down. Specifically looking for that type of NPC within Balmora who is just useless enough to kill and not worry about. There's actually two ways you can go about this. You could actually just live in here with him. I mean, he spends most of his time down there, and I actually don't even know if he wanders, really. You could just use his bed, you could steal his stuff and ransack all this, just like empty all these shelving, put your own stuff there, and just kind of live with him there and just kind of work around him. Or you could just kill him, which he is alone in this house, so you could straight up just kill him. Just murder him and you won't get in trouble because there's nobody to catch you. Or you could do it the quote-unquote legitimate way and taunt him into attacking you. But in any method, you can just kill him and the house is yours. And this is probably one of my favorite houses in Balmora. It's a decent size. It's 2-story. There's plenty of shelving. You got a shelf upstairs. You got a shelf downstairs. You've got plenty of storage. You got urns, sacks. You've got benches, more shelving, a table with some stools. You've got decent lighting too, a lot of candles around. Shelving here, chest here, more sacks to store stuff in. It's an overall decent house. It's nothing like too crazy. It's not like a mansion or a manor or anything like that, but it is a pretty good house to choose. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorites. So this is a house I highly recommend for sure. Before we move on, I did want to give an honorable mention to Nine Toes' house, which was the original house that I used to take over until I realized that Nine Toes was a Blades member who offered training. So you kind of just don't want to kill this guy if you can help it. But this used to be my go-to house until I realized that Astius's house was a little bit better. He actually has a better looking bed too and better shelving and whatnot. So overall, it's a better house than Nine Toes' house, but I thought I would give it an honorable mention since that was kind of like the original house that I used to always steal in this game. Again, another cool fact about Astius's house is that it is right next to Caius Cosades' house. So if you are doing main quest stuff, you know, he's right there. So it's pretty cool. But anyways, this next one is also in Balmora. It's up here. And it is technically part of a quest. Basically, the quest is to like steal a bottle of liquor. So I mean, that's the only importance that this building has. There's not really any important NPCs in here. The only important NPC is already dead. There's 2 doors to get in here. They are both locked. The one up here is easier to break into since there's nobody watching you. It's easier to sneak. But the one down here has a lower lock level. However, you're probably going to have a hard time picking it without getting caught. if you are able to unlock it and get in, it's a pretty decent sized house. There's plenty of storage. There's definitely no shortage of storage. You have plenty of crates, barrels, sacks, that sort of thing. There's also plenty of tables, if you like storing stuff on tables. Plenty of shelving. You've got 3 shelves just in this one room. Pretty decent as far as like storage and furniture goes for this first floor. But then things kind of start to fall apart. The rest of the house is kind of just like pointless space, you know? You got this like staircase here that like kind of does nothing. You've got this sort of like mezzanine hallway area that kind of does nothing. And then you go up to the top floor and you have a bed. And then you also have a little bit of mess here, which is kind of the reason why, this is honestly the only reason why I don't like this house. There's honestly not a whole lot going on as far as mess, but there is a mess. I mean, you got this like chair knocked over, you got this divider knocked over. If that bugs you, it might be a deal breaker for you. For me, that's a deal breaker for whatever reason. I just don't like how sloppy and messy this room looks. The other caveat too is that inside of this door there is a I don't know what you would call this person, like a butler or a maid or something, I don't know. They also live here, so you don't actually have to kill this person, but you totally could if you just don't want them here. They stay locked up in this room anyway, they never go anywhere, and the door is closed, so they're not going to see you doing anything. You could keep them alive, you could kill them, it doesn't really matter. I don't think they have anything important as far as quests or anything goes. It's a decent sized house for sure. I feel like for its size, it is lacking. It does have kind of a lot of storage, I'm not gonna lie. However, it's all kind of secluded to this one floor, which kind of makes the rest of the house feel a little pointless, not gonna lie. Personally, if I were to choose this house, I would probably fix it up in the construction set a bit. First of all, clean up that mess, and then second of all, just kind of make these other floors a little bit more like useful. Like, why is this dead space here? You know what I mean? This is probably one of the community favorites. It's not necessarily my favorite choice, but it is a community favorite choice. A lot of people tend to choose this as their house because, well, the guy that lives here is already dead, so it's a pretty easy choice. And it's one of the bigger houses you can get. Now, of course, you could also take this strategy to other cities too if you wanted to live in a different city. Of course, you could just find somebody useless to kill and steal their house as long as you like their house and they're not too important or whatever. A couple good towns are probably Sedanine or Aldrun. I would probably choose Sedanine if I was going to choose a different town, just because it's a nice little quiet, quaint town. And I tend to kind of kill all the people that live here anyway, so it's like usually not much of a loss. But again, the houses are pretty meek and mild, not gonna lie. So we're going back to Balmora just for the sake of ease, but all of the major cities in Morrowind are going to have great house seats, council seats, whatever you want to call them. Balmora is going to be Hlaalu, Aldrun is going to be Redoran, and Sadrith Mora, I think, is Telvanni. But anyway, you would go to the council manor of whatever council you want to join. Hlaalu is the best. I kind of recommend Hlaalu, but every council house, when you do the quest series for that council house, about halfway through the quest series, you will be tasked with creating a stronghold for the Great House. You can only ever have one. You cannot have all 3, so you have to choose one from the beginning, like whether or not you want to do Hlaalu, Redoran, or Telvanni, right? But essentially you build this stronghold, which is usually a couple buildings, I think, but I want to say the Telvanni one is actually just one building. I can't quite remember. As far as the strongholds themselves go, I believe the Telvanni one is like technically the best. The Redoran one is probably second best. Redoran one is probably my favorite as far as functionality and form go. And then the Hlaalu one, I would say, is probably the least functional, but has like the best form. I have a tendency towards the Hlaalu design structure. It's very, like, normal, you know what I mean? Alright, so I had to go load a profile that actually had it unlocked, but here is the Hlaalu stronghold. It is actually kind of a nice looking stronghold, I do have to admit. But you got, like, Drela's house, you've got Brenda's house, you've got like a guard tower, or Gol's house, I guess. And then you have the Rethan Manor, which I think the Rethan Manor is the one that is technically yours, but it's also occupied by a bunch of people. And yes, this does look like it's all mine. I can actually take this stuff. But again, this is a shared space. You have 2 people that live here too. You got plenty of storage though. You got, you know, crates, barrels, you got shelving, which is nice. You know, more tables and stuff. And there's a second floor. But yeah, you got like a bed, nice size. You got the closet, more shelving, a lot of small chests. It comes with ebony arrows and darts, which is a little interesting, not gonna lie. Another table also comes with an ebony longsword, weird chest, all sorts of cool stuff. It's a pretty decent house. It's maybe a little better than the Hlaalu manor, just as far as like the layout goes. Obviously it's a little bit smaller, but I feel like the space is utilized quite well here. But again, if I remember correctly, I think the Redoran one is a little better. Alright, so here is the Redoran Stronghold. So this is probably like the biggest reason to not choose the Redoran Stronghold, and that's because of ash storms. They're just really like that annoying. I would just prefer to not have ash storms, honestly. My only real big gripe with the Redoran tribes is like, other than their houses being kind of weirdly shaped on the outside, the inside isn't too bad, but it's the ash storms really that get me. I mean, the outside of their buildings are pretty freaking butt ugly, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, the insides don't look all that bad, so it's not that bad. We got the Brenda's house, or Berenda's house. Essentially, it's like some other dude's house.
Welcome, friend. The day is yours.
Why do you look like really short? But yeah, you've got like this house here. Same as the last place, you've got like two houses that technically aren't yours. And this weird like guard tower house thingy too. Manor services. So these are like servants' chambers maybe? Oh, this is like, you got like a blacksmith and whatnot. But again, it's not really like a house or anything. I wonder how much you actually own all this stuff.
An unexpected surprise.
So I'm like, technically you own all of this stuff, so you could more or less use all of this as your house. But the thing is that it's not like technically your house, so it's like a little bit weird. This is the Indorus Manor. So this is like the actual like house itself. Kind of looks like a guild almost, which is interesting, but as far as the manors go, this is possibly the best manor as far as like size and layout goes. Plenty of beds, plenty of storage. You've got all sorts of chests and shelving and tables and benches and countertops, and there is just plenty of stuff for storage and decoration here. Pretty nice place, pretty nice setup. Ton of storage in here too. Ton of storage here. Just overall a pretty good place, and that's why I say the Redoran Stronghold is possibly better than the Hlaalu Stronghold, just because of the manor itself. But again, regardless of which stronghold you are a part of, they kind of belong to you in whole. Like, you know, nothing is stealing, nothing is like, you're allowed to use every bed, you're allowed to steal anything you want. So theoretically you could use the entire stronghold as your house, more or less. It's just like, it feels a little bit weird because you are sharing the space technically. Alright, and last but not least, we have the Telvanni Stronghold, which is also in Ashstormville here, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. But anyways, the Telvanni Stronghold is definitely a Telvanni Stronghold. You're probably going to need Levitate, but if you made it this far in the Telvanni questline, you probably have Levitate anyway. And again, if you made it this far in the Telvanni questline, you probably don't fucking care that it's fucking this thing, right? But same-ish kind of setup. You've got like these sort of like smaller like proxy buildings here, which are pretty ugly on the inside and the outside, honestly. The thing I really don't like about Telvanni, aside from the outside just being horrendous and like needing to levitate everywhere, it's just like the inside is so cramped and ugly looking, you know what I mean? It's like I feel so claustrophobic inside of Telvanni buildings, strongholds, whatever you want to call them. I always feel so cramped in them. It feels like you're in a fucking cave. You know what I mean? I think this one might be like the biggest and craziest of all the strongholds, but it's such a fucking like disaster of an existence. I can't handle it. I really just can't. Like what even and where even is everything right now? You know what I'm saying? It's just a little bit too ridiculous for me. It just really is. That's like really the only way to get a good look at it, honestly. You got a whole bunch of like weird little hallways going to pretty much nowhere, and then you finally have some stuff up here at the top level here. You got like a shelf and some beds and a chest, and there's also an upper tower. So you got like a table here. It's, you know, whatever, it's kind of just clutter here, honestly. You move up to this sort of like middle floor, it's still kind of just nothing, just clutter. And then you have these like sort of like levitate up 2 rooms. You got to like levitate into these little holes. You got like the bedroom here, got a nice closet and a desk. Over here you got this like little dining hall area, I guess. Some like a table and whatnot. It kind of seems like it's it, honestly. Oh, tower dungeon, there we go. I knew there was another one. So yeah, then you have the tower dungeon here. This is where I'm saying, like, as far as just like overall size goes, like the Telvanni stronghold is the biggest stronghold. You get like the most bang for your buck technically, but I just fucking hate this place, dude. It's just so horrendous looking. It really is. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of cool, I guess, but at the same time, it's like a little much, you know? It's just kind of all convoluted and all over the place. Never been a huge fan of Telvanni stuff, but definitely not a huge fan of the Telvanni stronghold. Even though it's like the biggest stronghold, I hate it the most, for sure. Anyways, though, now that we've gotten pretty much the actual housing out of the way, I wanted to kind of take it to an extreme here, right? You know, what about things that aren't houses or aren't strongholds? You know, there's plenty of buildings in Morrowind, in my opinion, that would make absolutely great houses or strongholds or whatever. And we're going to get into those here now. And the first thing on our list here is going to be guilds, actually. Now, you have 3 choices as far as guilds go. Technically, you have a little bit more, because you do have, like, the Morag Tong and whatnot. But yeah, you have, like, thieves guilds and stuff, too. So you could straight up just, like, take an entire corner club. Why not, you know? Like, this is like an inn-type building. You got beds and tables and storage, right? Although, if I had to choose a faction, I would probably go with a Fighters Guild, because I feel like the Thieves Guild and Mages Guild are a little bit too useful for every playthrough. Like, the Thieves Guild, you get the ability to pay off your fines and bounty, which if you do go this route, you're probably going to want to be able to pay off your fines and bounty. Because when you commit enough murder, the guards literally will not let you pay your bounty, and the only way to pay it off is with the Thieves Guild. So highly recommend you do not sacrifice the Thieves Guild. And with the Mages Guild, you have guild teleports, you have enchanters, you have spell makers. It's just honestly too valuable to give up. So that leaves us with the Fighters Guild, right? Let's say you're either like completely done with the Fighters Guild quest lines, or maybe you just don't have any interest in the Fighters Guilds at all. Right? Why not just kill everybody in the Fighters Guild and use the Fighters Guild as your home, right? I mean, think about it. You've got plenty of storage, you've got plenty of space, you've got plenty of places to sleep, you've got beds, you've got chests, you've got crates, you've got tables, you've got shelving, you've got storage, you've got it all. You've literally got everything here. And this isn't even the best of them, but quite literally, you could just come in here and kill everybody. Like, why not, you know? Other than, like, the law, really. So, I mean, I'm gonna do the big bomb, huh? That was easy. Oh. Well, I already finished the main quest anyway. So who cares? That's right, Hasfat. You have to do some main quest stuff for. Pretty easy to kill everybody in the entire guild. You kill everybody and then boom, Bob's your uncle. The entire guild is yours. Like, you're done, right? And as far as bounty goes, that only took us like 3,000 bounty. That wasn't even a bunch to write home about or anything, right? And now, obviously, some guild halls are going to be better than other guild halls, so, you know, we could check out, like, maybe the All-Run Fighters Guild. Probably not my top choice. Maybe, like, the Vivek Fighters Guild would be, like, the actual optimal choice. But this is a pretty good building, too. This would make a really good place to hang out. You got this nice, like, blacksmith area, which honestly kind of doesn't really matter because it doesn't really do anything with your blacksmithing. But, you know, you got plenty of storage, plenty of bedding. You got tables, surfaces, shelving, different rooms and whatnot. It's a pretty nice place. I mean, this is bigger than any manor in the game, pretty much, except for honestly not really. Which will actually bring me to the last thing here, honestly, which is instead of stealing a house, you could steal a manor, right? Like, I mean, we had that one manor in Balmora that was, you know, taken, but the dude was dead already, which made it easy. But you could also just find an actual manor and just sort of take it as your own. This one kind of seems like it's unoccupied, I'm not even gonna lie. You could go this route. This is actually, I didn't even know about this one being a good option, but this is actually a really good option since nobody lives here and it's such a big place. Although again, it is a little bit of a mess, but it's a pretty big house. And if you, especially if you went into the construction set and diddled with it a bit, maybe add some more shelving or something in the construction set, but that would actually be a really good choice. It's vacant, it's huge, and there's a decent amount of storage. But the manors I'm really talking about here, and you could just take something like the Arrowbar Manor or something, and these places are huge, by the way. So you can see how easy that is with the right spell. These manors are absolutely huge. They have multiple different cells, multiple different rooms, and just absolutely endless storage. Endless beds, endless storage, endless tables. You could have a room for every category of item, you know what I mean? Like, if we were gonna choose, like, an amazing house, like, honestly, this would be the way to go. Now, you would have to kill some pretty important people in order to assimilate into one of these houses, or these manors, really, especially a Redoran type, right? But there's absolutely no ignoring how absolutely amazing these manors are, just in terms of, like, size and layout and everything. Just everything about these manors is absolutely incredible. And I don't even think this is, like, the biggest of the manors. I think there's even one that's bigger. Yeah. And see, this is what I mean by the Death Wish. So eventually, your crimes will end with a death warrant, right? So that is why you do not want to be sacrificing the Thieves Guild if you decide to, you know, do some crazy mass murder to get a gigantic house, right? There's an even like bigger and crazier place, and I think it might actually just be the Redoran Council Hall. So you could go even further, and you could just take the entire Redoran Council Hall. And if we go in here, so we've got this big open space here. We've got tables. We've got, is there shelving around here too, or is it just those tables? Oh, so we've got tables, you know. But yeah, we've got tables, and there's like houses within here, you know. So like, you know, you've got those tables there, then you've got like beds and shelves and everything in here. I mean, you could go really, really deep on housing, you know. It just all depends on who you're willing to kill, really, is what it boils down to. So you could straight up just, you could take this entire council hall. You could be like, you know what, screw the Redorans anyway. I don't really care about the Redorans. Let's take the entire Redoran Council Hall, because literally, why not? So what do? You kill everybody in the council hall, and you got yourself the biggest house in Morrowind. I mean, this is just crazy. Like, this is a big house. Like, if you were to just, like, legitimately use this as your house, this would be an absolutely massive house. It really would. But we're still not even done yet. We could take it even further. We could just take this entire... I mean, we're in a building right now. Like, this whole thing is its own building. Like, if we go outside of this thing, why not just make this entire thing your house? You see this thing right here? This entire thing could be your house. You could kill every single person underneath this crab shell, and you could have this entire thing be your house. You could kill everybody in every manor, kill everybody in the Redoran Council Hall, kill everybody in all of these shops, or you could just keep those shops so that you literally have shops that are like inside of your house, you know what I mean? Like, you could quite literally take over this entire place. You could have a clothing shop in your house. You could have all this stuff in your house, or you could just kill everybody and say, bitch, I don't need you. I want this to be part of my house too. And now this is part of your house. This is all part of your house. This is all just part of your gigantic house now. And this is the best house in Morrowind. But before we bring this to an end, let's take a look at our bounty. We have 17,000 bounty. That's a pretty high bounty. Let's see what happens when we pay off our bounty, because we have a death warrant, right? So that means we can't just like simply go to jail. We can't just simply pay our fine. But we got a price on our head. We can pay that 17,000 for a simple 8,000 here, right? And we should be good to go. So let's see here. We should be able to talk to the guards now. Yeah, look at that. They don't care. We even still have 98 disposition with them. Nobody cares. But anyways, those are going to be some of the best houses in Morrowind, at least in my opinion. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys found it useful. Hopefully that helps you guys decide on a house in Morrowind. For those of you who either didn't know about the houses in Morrowind or were confused about the houses in Morrowind or whatever, hopefully this is very useful to you and helps you make a decision. If you did find it useful, make sure to leave a like. It definitely helps me out. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you want to check out any more of this content or any of my other gaming content for that matter. And of course, as always, for as little as 99 cents a month, you become a channel member. Help support this channel monetarily, help me pay some bills around here, that sort of thing. Yeah, that being said, I've been Plock the Master Gamer with some Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.